So what's up? It is currently almost 11. I don't feel very great right now. I feel pretty down. That could be due to a multitude of things. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be my testimony. If you see me looking up there, it's because I got an external monitor. But let's just get right into it. So I have my testimony on my phone. I wrote it down a while back. I know a lot of people in the ministry that I'm with. Well, maybe not a lot of people, but quite a good amount of people were from the streets, right? That type of life. Me personally, I was raised in a middle-class type of life. I wasn't really around that type of environment, like the street environment, you know. And I can get more into this later. I never like even did drugs before I got saved, which that's not to condemn anyone who did before they gave their life to Christ. And I pray that as many as God wills watching this will give their life to Christ. That wasn't me. I never did drugs. I never got drunk before I got saved. I just stayed home and played video games all day. You know, that was me. I never partied. The people who did do that kind of stuff, they have a greater testimony than I do. So there's kind of like, in a way, there's kind of like those who did and got saved, and then those who didn't and got saved. Like it goes kind of both ways. God gets glorified either way. But I was raised into a pretty, honestly, typical home. With a mom, dad, and brother. Never really had any like divorce issues or anything like crazy, ungodly thing happen in the family. I went to a Catholic school. Sorry, wind. I went to a Catholic school pretty much up until what? Well, no, I was raised Catholic, and then I went to a Catholic church up until I got saved, so junior year. This is just kind of a brief breakdown. And I was raised in a Catholic school. I went to a public high school. Basically, one thing I'll say is that I guess I won't go too much into like the specifics of my early life. But one thing I will say, because this becomes evident later, growing up I struggled with a lot of fear. Was afraid of a lot of things. I was afraid of heights, elevators. There's a mall close to me that I live near. That I live near, and I was always afraid of like being on the second floor and like the floor just giving out. And this was when I was young. I was afraid of fireworks, loud noises. I was afraid of a whole bunch of things. I think that really I don't know, like to me, like from like preschool and then earlier on to like first grade First grade I feel like is where things started to change a little bit, sadly. First grade was kind of the year where I felt like things started to change a little bit. I felt like, to a degree, even though I, was afraid, shy, I felt like there was kind of a outgoing side to me. And then that actually that all changed second grade, I think. Second grade was a very bad year for me. Second grade was a really bad year for me. The one teacher I had, I threw up like 3 times in her class, and then I peed in class, like just out in the open one time, because I was afraid to use the bathroom. Afraid to ask to use the bathroom. That was actually before I threw up, I think. That came first, then I think I threw up. I threw up 3 times because I was so nervous. So that was the year I feel like a lot of things kind of changed for me. And then I just kind of think struggled more with fear after that. One thing I will say though is that I feel like God always sort of had his hand on my life. I can remember I'm not a Catholic anymore. We know the truth about the Catholic Church, that it's really not of God, or some people do know that. But like, it was kind of interesting because there were 2 priests in my Catholic church, and it was a small one. It wasn't a very big one. It wasn't like one in Chicago or anything. It only fit like, I don't know, a couple hundred people maybe, like 500 to 600, maybe not even that. Maybe more than that. I don't know. There were two priests that at one point they were at my church. The one is still there, I think. And their names were Tom and Michael, which are like, that's my first name and middle name. And I feel like that was God kind of even using that as a footstool, or just kind of as a means to. By the time like fifth grade hit, or like fifth or sixth grade hit, um, video game addiction really set in. Because that I think sixth grade was when I got an Xbox 360. So by that point, I think video game addiction really set in. I didn't really leave the house all that much, and I still kind of struggle with that. Although I do want to get outside more, but I don't really play video games anymore, though. I don't play video games anymore. God told me to give them up. And then I got in eighth grade an Xbox One, and then by I think sophomore year I had a gaming PC, which I still have. But yeah, fifth grade sixth grade was really the year like video game addiction set in. Like one thing I'll say, because this came to mind, is that before I got saved, I wasn't really the type of guy to like start fights and stuff. I struggle with a lot of fear, and I just never was that type of guy. And if you see me adjusting this, it's because I got a filter on it that helps with the exposure. I was always like a very likable person. Again, never really started like fights or anything. So then I graduated in eighth grade, and then I went to a public high school, which in the beginning there was some like worry about going to public high school, because even when before I got saved, like there was always a sort of a love for God in me. Like I didn't really want to miss church. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. I didn't really like want to do like certain things because it went against my Catholic faith. I didn't really want to do like witchcraft or anything, or like smoke weed, and that went into high school later. There's always sort of a love for God there, but obviously I wasn't really, walking in it like I am now, and still need to walk in it more. I'm, not perfect, but I'll get there, because Christ commands us to be perfect, right? I've definitely still made mistakes. I definitely have struggled, even to this day, with a lot of fear. But I'll get there. I'll glory to God. So then graduated, and then high school came up, and then I went to the public high school, and again I was worried about not like stopping going to Catholic church, the Catholic church, and just like losing the relationship I thought at the time I had with God. I wasn't like that worried about it, but like it definitely crossed my mind going to high school, and I definitely thought about it. So then I went to high school, and I'm happy I went to the high school that I did, because I feel like a lot of the environment there, sure, it was drugs, that type of thing. Although I will say I don't think it wasn't as bad as like other public high schools. I mean, obviously not every public high school is like that. I don't know, I feel like I met some very down to earth people there at high school. Some of them are probably watching this. That really kind of humbled me in a way. I actually did test to get into the Catholic high school, which I think bombed the math test. I'm still kind of to this day happy that I went to that high school. So I will say, I have to say this because this will become important later. In freshman year, I know what it is now. It was really demonic, but is what it was. But because actually ever since I've gotten saved, I haven't had this issue really anymore. It was really from the Catholic Church is what it was from. I began to develop these pressure headaches. Not even headaches, but they were just these pressure, there was this pressure in my head. And it would sometimes feel like there was something moving in my head. At that point, again, I said I struggled with a lot of fear. So at that point I was kind of worried that I might have a brain tumor or something. So that was freshman year, and that was early on, September, October. And then I think that died down. And then that didn't come up again until junior year. So, by the time high school hit, I was pretty much just staying inside all day playing video games. And one thing I will say is, I never really did all that well in school. I always really struggled with math, even to this day. I still have. I never really tried all that hard, I guess. Um, Even with online school, that's become hard. It's become kind of hard. But my grades actually started to go up after I got saved. But I never had any like behavioral issues um, before I got saved. I was all I only get like out of all my years of schooling, I only got wrote up one time just for being late to class too much. And in the summer between sophomore year and junior year there's a lot that happened. Um, I took a class at a college in Chicago for filmmaking. We went to someone I met online. My family and me went to Indianapolis. We went on vacation. There was a lot that happened that summer, and at that point I felt like I was really starting to come out of like my shy shell. And then junior year started, and that was a very, very big turning point in my life. Sometimes I've actually sat back and thought like, wow, that actually happened. Um, I guess all that fear that I'd struggled with all my life just kind of culminated. And it was kind of interesting because I feel like I remember like in the beginning of junior year thinking to myself like, this is going to be a good year for you. Um, but basically it went August was pretty much fine. And then September came, and in late September, I think, I began to worry about those pressure headaches that I was having again. So much so to the point where one day there was a Sunday that came, my family and me were in church, and I had an anxiety attack. I just like freaked out, and then, well, I didn't scream or anything. But so then we stepped outside and then just went home, I think, and then that was a Sunday. Monday came, and I think the anxiety attack being in church I think that was God like telling me like that was from Him. And then now I'm here. And then Tuesday came, and I went into school, and then I won't say who it was, but the person who drove me to school said two words to me, and they were obviously just trying to help. They weren't trying to like scare me or anything, but I was still kind of anxious from the anxiety attack that I had in church. And the person who drove me to school said two words, and if that person didn't say those two words to me, I don't know where I'd be right now. They said, "Don't panic." And that day, I had 3 anxiety attacks within about a span, I think, of 20 to 30 minutes in math class. And I can remember like having 3 anxiety attacks and feeling like I was like gonna drop dead. Like I literally felt like I was gonna die. And it was terrifying. So I asked the teacher, because the teacher of that class would give us breaks, and I can remember asking the teacher like, can we take a break? And it came out so like timid. Like I was even shocked at how like weak I sounded. And then it was kind of funny, but he didn't realize what had happened. He didn't realize I had 3 anxiety attacks. And then he just smiled at me like, I know you're trying to get out of class. Which, I mean, like, sure I was, because I just had 3 anxiety. But he didn't know that. And then, so that was late September, and then I think it kind of carried over. I don't know if I had any other anxiety attacks. And then, so I think I went home that day. I don't really remember. I think I went home, and then that carried over into October, I can remember having, like, stomach issues in class, and I didn't know what it was from, and then I later realized, oh, it's from the anxiety. Like, I think way later, like, after I overcame it. So I would just, like, sit in class and I was having, like, anxiety or, like, stomach issues. There were some pretty pivotal moments I remember from that month. Where I feel like I just kind of went up and, I feel like my anxiety during that month kind of went, like, it would go up, then down, and then when it would go up again, it'd go higher than it went the last time. I think it was a Friday. There was a Friday I became very anxious, and then I went home early because I had another anxiety attack. And then, so that was a Friday, and then I think I might have went to school those Monday and Tuesday. I think I missed school quite a bit during October, especially like the later months. I think I missed it quite a bit. Because I was just like, I didn't want to go to school. At some point there was a Wednesday, and after that Wednesday I didn't go back to school except for one more time, in December, I just went there to like try to like get myself back into it. And then after that, I didn't go back to school until February. Um, that was one Wednesday, and I can remember sitting on my bed thinking like, I don't know when I'm gonna go back. Um, and then after that, it was just kind of, I by I think it was October, somewhere around October 20th, I'd gotten a therapist. I can remember meeting her, um, you know, and she helped. And then, so I can remember, again, I was just kind of staying home playing video games. And okay, sorry, I did have to change up the shot because the lighting. There was a time where in October where I had gone out into the street, or no, not into the street. Sorry, I was going for a walk with my mom, and there was a street cleaner that came by. I can remember being like covering my ears because I was so worried about the noise. So November got hard. November was difficult, and then by and then December came around. By December, that was when things began to change. That was when I kind of started to give my life over to God, because I had read this post online about like a demon, and then I began to buy like Roman Catholic candles and stuff, and then put those around the house, which I later got rid of. And then at some point, I began to just cry out to God, and I began to just I did like a sinner's prayer, and God picked up. Now obviously that prayer itself didn't save me, but God picked up. I was later down the line, and then one day I can remember God telling me to find someone that I used to like watch online, and I can remember and then but I forgot the guy's name, and when I watched him online, it was back in like 7th grade, but I forgot the guy's name. So I was like, how am I supposed to find him? And then I actually found him scrolling through someone's Instagram page. And he was like solid for the most part. Kind of teaching the basics. I think was off about some, things. But he served his purpose for a while. So that happened, and then I'm still out of school, and I was going for this new form of therapy, which again I think God used as a footstool for a while, and then by I was watching some YouTube channels, some of which you guys have probably heard of. I won't say who they are. I'll keep that, and then by February, I had actually gone back to school. Late February, I think it was February 24th, I had gone back to school. And I was saved by that point. I can remember going back to school and like reading the Bible in school. I still was struggling with a lot of fear, and I would be lying if I said God hasn't taken me a long way. I've overcome so much fear. I can remember going back to school, and someone said to me, like, you seem a lot, like, more confident, right? I pray he gets saved. And then, I was just kind of I was growing at this point. I'd given my life over to God. And then, I kind of stopped playing video games around this point, which I, at some point, kind of got back into, and then stopped playing again after God told me to give them up. And, I stopped. There's like 2 main YouTube channels I was watching from like February to April, and then I stopped watching them, and then eventually kind of moved on to someone else and started watching other people. And then eventually by January of 2019, I joined the Revelations of Jesus Christ Ministries, which has been the ministry that I've been in since January of 2019. The summer of like between June and August of 2019, that was a hard summer, which would have been senior year to college. Because I was disobedient with some things, Again, God's still working on me to this day. Definitely not, I'm definitely getting to that place of holiness. And then now, I've come such a long way. It's not even like funny. I had like, before I got saved, I had like I was very worried. I had like a very scattered mind, which God's been slowly like putting me back together. Was just so like, would even struggle with overthinking a lot. Really struggled with overthinking. God's really been, cooked that out of me to a degree. I still struggle with it to this day, but definitely not as much as I used to. And there was actually one day, I have to say this. There was one day in in September of 2019, I think. I was in college, and I was in my college class. So I go to a community college. And I literally just had like a spiritual growth spurt. Like God supernaturally just matured me right there. Like in that moment, I overcame a lot of fear and a lot of like internal struggles. And God just like supernaturally matured me. So God's really done a lot in my life compared to who I used to be. Again, thank God I didn't really struggle with drugs. I mean, I'll admit, like, I still have an issue with like sugar, or I have had an issue with sugar. I don't want to speak that into life. The book of Proverbs says life and death are in the power of the tongue. I'm gonna end it there. I hope this blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. In Jesus' name, amen. Salah.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto the death.